Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Patty. I go by Pattymac Makes everywhere online. In today's video, we are going to have a look at 4-patch blocks. We are going to take the 4 patches that we've been sewing and then sew them into a mini quilt top. And once we have the quilt top, we'll be ready to put them into a project, but that will be a different video. Today's video, we're just going to put these things together. So here are some tips and tricks for you when you are working with your blocks. What you want is everything to be the same size. This goes without saying. We want everything in our overall block or our overall quilt top to be crisp and sharp, just like it is here. And so what I do is once the 4 patch is constructed, I then trim everything down to the same size. In this case, all of these blocks are 8.5 inches square. So each side is going to measure at 8.5 inches. And once that is sewn into the final piece, each of these blocks will wind up measuring 8 inches because you have a 1/4 inch seam allowance on all sides, and that means you will lose a total of 1/2 inch. So by having the block 8.5, the finished size will be 8. I hope that makes sense. Sometimes the fractions in the math can be a lot, so I try to keep it simple. When you start putting your blocks together, generally if you're working with a more elaborate quilt pattern, they will have diagrams and illustrations for you. When we work in quilting, what we do is we first construct rows, and then we put the rows together to do the final block, or in this case, the quilt top. What we have is 4 patches, and those together will make the final quilt top, or one big block. So what we're going to do first is we're going to put these together as a row. So this is a row, and then this is a row. Once our rows are together, we'll come back and we will then stitch along this line to put the overall piece into one quilt top. So let's get to it. I have my blocks pinned together, and I have done exactly the same process that I did when I constructed the 4 patches, which was to line up the seams. You can pin right at the seam and keep those together so it stays nice and neat as you sew. So I have my leader piece already there. I'm ready to just go ahead and start the chain piece. Here's our chain pieced blocks, and we're just going to snip them apart. And I will take this over to the sewing machine. I'll set the seams, and then I'm going to press them open since it's in the middle. And we will come back and piece the 2 rows together, because as you can see, now we've got a beautiful row. Here you can see I've put my rows together, and you know, if you had something larger, you would do the same thing. You would just go ahead and construct your row all the way across, 2 together. Let's say that you were putting 4 of these together. If you were doing 4, what I would do is I would do 2, and then I would do the other 2 over here, and then I would put those 2 together. So kind of come up with a plan for how you want to piece your blocks together when it comes time to make your overall quilt top. But in this case, we're just doing 4 blocks, so I put these 2 together, and I put these 2 together in the bottom, and now what we're going to do is flip them right sides together, and same process, just butt the seams. In this case, we have more seams to make sure that we're getting lined up, But oh my goodness, I know this is a really simple pattern, but when everything lines up and it's perfect, it's pretty darn satisfying. So, okay, let's put these together and get it stitched, and we'll have our little mini quilt top. What I do is start in the middle, and you can see that I've pressed that seam open. So what I'm going to do is come through the stitch line right in the center, and I want to make sure that I'm piercing the one underneath. And so that makes sure that I'm lined up perfectly. Just like that. And then we'll come over here and make sure these are butted up. I will also tell you, spray starch is your friend. Now when you're working on this part of the fabric, you are working on cross grain, and you're going to have a little bit of stretch. It's not like the straight of grain where it's completely stable. You're going to have a little bit of stretch, and you can see that coming in here. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to ease that fabric in the best that we can and get everything to line up the best that we can. But it is challenging because this is where you've got your stretch, and the spray starch helps, but it's just one of those things. So let's put it together. So there she is in all of her finished glory, and I have done my rows and attached the rows along this seam, and now we've got a lovely little mini quilt top ready for its project. And is this quilt top perfect? No, it's not perfect. Am I okay about that? I'm totally okay about that, because to me, it's not all about perfection. I am not a robot. I am not a machine. And, you know, we're all just doing our best out here. So it's still going to be lovely. And when it's quilted and all of that, which you will see, and its finished project, which is coming up, you will see how pretty this is. So that's what I've got for you. That's putting your blocks together. I hope that helps you with strategizing how to piece your blocks, how to get your rows together. It can be a little bit daunting and confusing to put the whole thing together at the end. So I just wanted to do this mini to kind of just give you some guidance on that. And I hope it's helpful. That's the video. That's what I have for you. And I will see you in the next video here on YouTube. Thanks again, and I'll see you around.